These are four of my favorite things. Two of the most important edged weapons books ever written, and the Munster knife and the El Diablo cane by Master Ziggy of Cane Fighters International. The Munster knife was designed by Ken Shadow Goodman and is available from Delta to Alpha. Let's talk about the books. The Medusa Manual is perhaps one of the most important books on edged weapons use. It is bare bones. It is very, very streamlined, and it is based in realistic tactics. Very realistic tactics. It is an explanation of the tactics developed by Mike and Seth Raymond based on their studies of prison and criminal violence with edged weapons. What do criminals do that make them successful? What is it that they do that make it their violent actions almost unstoppable for most people? This is what the Medusa system is about. It is not a fancy system. It is not a system of dueling. It is a system of assault. And to understand this is very important if you're going to understand edged weapons defense. If you're going to want to understand how to put a knife to work to save your life in a worst case scenario. This system is not for sport. It's not for dueling. It's not for pretty flow. It is for just puncturing holes into other people with sharp, pointy things. This is the actual essence of knife combat. The other book, Put 'em Down and Take 'em Out, Knife Fighting Techniques from Fome Prison, was written by Don Pentecost. And he wrote this book in the late 80s, early 90s. I have an original copy from Paladin Press, and it is a treasure. It is an absolute must-read if you are going to practice knife combatives. It is as honest as the Medusa system, and it is a quick read. It is also bare bones, and the basis of it is to aggressively put the pointy end of your knife into the other person. There are no fancy grips, no fancy moves, just honest discussion about edged weapons violence. Now, I love Filipino martial arts. I love flow. I love drilling. I love developing a high level of skill with edged weapons, with blunt impact weapons, with my empty hands. But I think the core of what I do needs to be this kind of stuff if I want to keep one foot in reality. Not saying that Filipino martial arts can't work. They can, and they are effective, but they require much more training. And because I'm a lifetime practitioner of martial arts, they are a big part of my training. But what am I going to practice as my core? Well, I'll be honest. It will be basic and simple techniques. And I may flow with my training partners and my students and my masters and gurus and whatnot. But most of my training, most of my solo training is just smashing the shit out of things and stabbing them. And I'm not doing this to have only that as my self-defense techniques. I'm doing it to have that as my worst case scenario techniques. You notice that I start with my empty hands. I hit, I smash, I knee, and then I close distance and use the knife. If my empty hand tactics are what is needed, the knife will not be drawn. If my empty hand tactics work, I would not go for the knife. If the opponent drops out because I knocked him unconscious or stunned him, I would flee. All of this stuff I should not have to say because it is common sense. But when people see me doing this stuff, they don't look at it with common sense. They think this is all that I do. There is a lot more to my training than this, but this is definitely a big part of my training. The knife I'm using here is a training knife from the Munster knife from Delta 2 Alpha, and that package is excellent. After carrying it for 3 weeks, my only drawback is that the sheath loosened up a bit because I was a little too rammy putting the knife in and I cut some of the threads. But besides that, if you're looking for an everyday carry fixed blade, it is an excellent choice. I highly recommend it. Thank you.